All right, let's dive right into this explainer and unlock the secrets of Chapter 9 of the APA Publication Manual. I am genuinely thrilled to guide you through this material because honestly, mastering your reference list is basically one of the most empowering things you can do as a researcher.
Look, if you have ever felt that universal dread of formatting citations, you know the feeling, staring at your screen, wondering where on earth a comma goes or why a title suddenly needs italics, well, consider this explainer your ultimate cheat code. We're going to break down the actual logic behind these rules so you literally never have to guess again.
Because, believe it or not, a reference list isn't just arbitrary academic torture. As this quote straight from the manual highlights, it's actually a vital tool for credibility. It's a map. It proves you've done your homework and lets anyone else retrace your exact steps.
So, here's our game plan for today. We'll quickly cover the purpose of references, jump into the 4 core elements, break down the anatomy of authors and dates, then titles and sources, and finally, look at how to handle missing information.
Okay, Section 1, the purpose of references. Right off the bat, there's a really crucial distinction in APA style. Generally, you create reference lists, not bibliographies. Why? Well, because every single entry in a reference list has to directly support the specific ideas, claims, and concepts used in your paper. You're not just throwing in everything you read for background context, right? You are strictly listing the hard evidence that props up your specific arguments.
Moving right along to Section 2, the 4 core elements. Now, check this out. Notice how this figure, which comes straight from the manual, just brilliantly illustrates the golden rule. It visually maps out exactly where the author, the date, the title, and the source actually live on a standard document. And then it shows you how they perfectly line up to create your reference list entry at the bottom. It's like a giant puzzle coming together. So here is the crucial takeaway. Pretty much every single reference has these 4 elements: author, date, title, source. If you rhythmically repeat these 4 questions to yourself, who is responsible, when was it published, what's it called, where can I retrieve it, you are essentially building a mental filing cabinet for absolutely any citation. Doesn't matter if it's a centuries-old book or a TikTok video.
All right, Section 3, anatomy of the author and date.
So when we say author, we really have to think beyond just a person holding a pen. The manual defines the author quite broadly. That means an editor of a book, a film director, the principal investigator of a grant, or, even a podcast host. They all count as the author in APA style. But when it actually comes to typing out that author element, there are some pretty strict formatting rules. You always invert individual names, so surname first, followed by the initials. If there are multiple authors, always use an ampersand, the and symbol, before that final author's name, not the spelled out word. Oh, and make sure to leave 1 space between initials and retain the author's preferred capitalization. Think of the lowercase b in bell hooks, for example. Now here's exactly how you handle the math when you run into one of those massive research studies with dozens of contributors. Up to 20 authors, you list all of them. But if you hit 21 or more, you list the first 19, insert an ellipsis, those 3 little dots, and then simply add the final author's name. It's actually a neat little trick to save space while still giving credit to the bookend researchers. Okay, moving on to the when. The date element is always included in parentheses and followed by a period. For most references, you just need the year. But if you're citing something published really frequently, like a newspaper or a blog post, you're going to need the year, month, and day. And if you absolutely cannot find a date, no problem, just use the abbreviation ND for no date right inside those parentheses.
Which brings us to Section 4, anatomy of the title and source.
Listen, if you only remember one thing about titles today, please make it this brilliant binary rule. If the work stands alone, like an entire book or a comprehensive report, you italicize the title. But if the work is just part of a greater whole, like a single article inside a journal or one chapter inside an edited book, you do not italicize it. Super simple, right? And because we cite way more than just traditional books these days, the manual gives us these bracketed descriptions as lifelines. For non-traditional stuff, we're talking software, YouTube videos, press releases, audiobooks. You just provide a quick, succinct description in square brackets right after the title. It immediately lets your reader know exactly what kind of medium they're looking for. Finally, we hit the source, which answers the big question, where can I retrieve it? The source is the destination. For a standalone book, it's the publisher. For a journal article, it's the journal title, volume, and issue. For an online work, it's the website name alongside the DOI or URL.
The truly beautiful part here is that whether your source is online or sitting in print, the formatting templates are largely exactly the same.
All right, let's talk punctuation, because punctuation is the glue that holds all this information together. You have to put a period after each of the 4 core elements to separate them. Within the elements themselves, you use commas to separate different parts. But guys, here is a critical warning. Never, ever put a period after a DOI or URL at the very end of your reference. Doing that can actually break the link, and nobody wants that.
Last but not least, Section 5. Handling missing information. Look, the manual isn't out to trick you. It actually anticipates that you're going to hit some dead ends, and that's exactly why it provides this comprehensive troubleshooting matrix, Table 9.1. It shows you exactly how to assemble and adjust your reference when certain elements are just nowhere to be found.
Let's distill that dense table down to a couple of key survival tactics. Missing an author? Don't panic. The title simply slides forward into that first position, followed by the date and source. Missing a date? Like we said, use n.d. Missing a title? Just write a brief description of the work in square brackets instead. The formula is actually incredibly flexible.
But get ready, because here is probably the most surprising fact in the entire chapter, the ultimate exception. If there is absolutely no source for readers to retrieve, say it's an unrecorded private conversation or an internal company email, it doesn't even go in your reference list. Seriously. If your reader can't access it, it defeats the whole purpose of the map. In those cases, you just cite it as a personal communication right in the text of your paper, and that's it.
As we wrap up here, I really want to emphasize why following this strict anatomy is so important. Like the manual states, consistency lets readers focus on your actual content, rather than getting distracted by sloppy formatting. But even more than that, getting this right ensures that publishers' computer algorithms can actually link your citations for indexing. It's literally establishing your credibility as a careful, trustworthy researcher.
By mastering the who, when, what, and where, you are leaving a perfect trail for future scholars. So the next time you format a paper, I want you to look at your reference list and ask yourself, if this list was a map, could another researcher actually follow it? Keep these 4 core elements in mind, and the answer will be yes every single time. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer.